Why am I not dead? The wounded human soldier awakens. Captain John Reyes had always believed he would die on the battlefield. He had seen war, real war. Not just gunfire, but worlds burning, skies falling, and people screaming for help that never came. The last thing he remembered was the explosion. A loud sound, a flash of orange fire, and then pain. Deep, sharp pain. His chest had been torn open. Blood filled his mouth. His arms stopped moving. Then, nothing. But now something strange happened. John opened his eyes. He didn't see smoke. He didn't see fire. He saw a soft white ceiling above him. Smooth, clean, quiet. What? Where am I? He whispered, but his voice came out weak and dry. He looked around slowly. He was lying on a soft bed, so soft it felt like clouds. The room wasn't made of metal like a ship, it looked organic. The walls were round, glowing gently like they were alive. A soft breeze touched his face. He tried to sit up. Pain shot through his chest, but then nothing. The pain was gone in seconds, like something inside his body had fixed itself. No, scars, he muttered, touching his chest. His armor was gone. His body was clean, wrapped in light robes. His skin looked fresh, as if the wounds never happened. He wasn't dreaming. This was real. Then he heard footsteps. Soft, quick, careful. The door slid open. No hinges, no sound. Just a silent parting of the wall. And there she was. An alien girl. She was tall, slender, with smooth lilac skin that shimmered under the soft light. Her hair was long and silver, glowing faintly as if it carried starlight. Her eyes, huge and glowing gold, watched him carefully. She wore simple clothes, like a servant. Her hands were small, holding a bowl. "You're awake," she said softly. Her voice was musical, calm. John stared, unsure what to say. "Where am I?" he asked. The girl placed the bowl down on a side table and bowed deeply. "You are safe now," she replied. "You are in the healing chamber of Valeria." "Valeria?" he repeated. He had heard that name before, an alien planet on the outer rim. But no human had ever returned from there. "You were found half dead on the borderlands," she said. "The Queen ordered you brought to her. You saved her convoy, whether you meant to or not." John blinked. "What convoy?" The girl tilted her head. "You don't remember?" John shook his head. He could barely remember anything after the explosion. The girl stepped closer, then gently bowed again. "I am Leary," she said, "and by the laws of Valeria, I am now yours." Silence. John stared at her. "What?" She lowered her gaze. Her voice was even softer now. "You saved royal lives. In Valerian tradition, heroes are given a living reward. I am that reward. I belong to you now." John tried to speak, but no words came. This wasn't a joke. Her face was serious, sad even. "No," he said quickly. "I don't want a reward. You're not property." She looked surprised. "But that is the law. I was chosen. You are now my master." John's head spun. He had trained for war, not for this. A girl? A slave? What kind of world was this? "Listen, Leary," he said, struggling to sit up again. She rushed to help him, gently placing a pillow behind his back. "I didn't save anyone on purpose. I was just trying to survive. That explosion, I thought I was dead." Leary nodded slowly. "And yet you lived. Perhaps fate chose you." John stared at her glowing eyes. They didn't look like the eyes of a servant. There was something deeper there. Something broken. Or hiding. "Do you want to be here?" he asked suddenly. Leary didn't answer right away. She looked away, then said quietly, "It is my honor." But her voice didn't sound happy. It sounded trained. Just then, the walls of the room glowed brighter. A soft chime rang through the air. Leary stood up. "The Queen is watching," she whispered. I must prepare you. She may call for you soon. John nodded, his mind full of questions. Why was he brought here? Why him? And why did this girl look like she was smiling with her mouth but not with her eyes? As she moved to the door, he called out, "Leary, why did they choose you?" She paused. "Because I had no one to claim me," she said softly. "And because I don't fight back anymore." The door closed behind her and John was left in silence. A deep chill ran through him. He wasn't just on another planet. He was in the middle of something strange, something wrong, and it had just begun. You were a reward, not a rescue. Alien culture. Shocked John Reyes stood near the glowing window of the strange room. Outside he saw 2 suns in the sky and purple trees swaying gently in the wind. The air looked clean like something from a dream, but John's mind was far from calm. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Leary, the alien girl who bowed before him, who said she belonged to him. He didn't ask for a servant. He didn't want someone to serve him. He just wanted answers. The door opened with a whisper. Leary stepped in holding folded clothes, soft, silky silver robes. "These are the ceremonial garments," she said, her voice polite. "The Queen may summon you today." John frowned. "I'm not wearing anything until someone explains what's going on. Why are they calling me a hero? Why are you—" He hesitated. "Given to me like a reward?" She paused and looked down, holding the robes close to her chest. "Because that is how our people show honor," she answered softly. "We give what is precious to those who save our kind. The Queen's royal carriers were under attack. Your escape pod crashed near them. You fought the raiders. They survived because of you." John tried to remember. He only recalled running, shooting, surviving. Did he really save them? Or was it just luck? "I didn't know who they were," he said. "But you acted with courage," she replied. "And on Valeria, intention is not greater than result." John sighed and rubbed his face. This planet didn't make sense. Back on Earth, they gave medals, not people. Leary stepped forward slowly. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You don't want me, do you?" John looked up at her. Her golden eyes glowed, but he noticed how tense her hands were. She wasn't just asking out of politeness, she was afraid. "No," he said gently. "Not like this. You're not an object, Leary. You're a person." She looked away. "Not here, I'm not." Silence filled the room. Only the soft hum of the walls could be heard. John walked over to her, slower now. "Do others treat you badly?" Leary's lips trembled. She forced a smile. "Some are cruel, some are kind, but most ignore me." She placed the robes on the bed. Then, without warning, she dropped to her knees and bowed low. "Please don't send me back," she whispered. "If you reject me, they will give me to someone else, someone worse. Or I'll be sent to the Black Chambers." John's heart pounded. Black Chambers. She didn't answer. He knelt beside her. Carefully, he touched her hand. "I won't hurt you, Leary," he said. "But I can't accept this system. You shouldn't be treated like this." She nodded, still trembling. Then she said something strange. "You may not accept me, but they already marked you." "Marked me?" She slowly touched his chest. "When you were asleep, they placed the seal of ownership on your skin. To them, we are bonded now. You are my master. Even if you refuse, the mark says otherwise." John pulled the robe from his body. Near his collarbone, under the skin, a faint symbol glowed. Alien script he couldn't read. "They tattooed me while I was unconscious?" he asked in shock. Leary looked down. "Yes, it is tradition." John stepped back, anger rising in his chest. He had been thrown into a world, with rules he didn't understand, and now he was the center of something he didn't ask for. Leary stood up slowly. "I will serve you with kindness. I don't need love. I only need protection. Please, don't let them give me away again." Her voice was strong for the first, Time. John looked into her glowing eyes and saw something no one else seemed to notice. Hope. A small, fragile hope that maybe this time, someone would treat her like she mattered. He took a deep breath. "All right, Leary," he said. "Then I won't reject you, but I won't treat you like a slave either. From now on, we stand together." Leary's lips parted. For the first time, her smile felt real, but then, a loud bell echoed through the building. The walls turned red. "They're coming," she said suddenly, her voice sharp with fear. "The Queen's guards. They're here to test if the bond is true." "Test?" John asked. She nodded slowly. "They will watch how I act around you. If they think I'm not loyal, they'll punish me." Then she added in a whisper, "Sometimes they hurt the master too." John clenched his fists. He had woken up in a nightmare wrapped in beauty, and now the real challenge was just beginning. She wasn't what they said, the slave with a secret. That night, Captain John Reyes couldn't sleep. The strange alien room was too quiet, the bed too soft, the glowing walls too peaceful, and his mind too full of questions. He had survived death. He had awakened in a palace on another planet, and now an alien girl had been given to him as a reward. It still didn't feel real. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the faint glow of the mark on his chest, the alien symbol of ownership, a mark he didn't ask for. Leary had curled up in the far corner of the room on the floor. She didn't sleep in the bed, even when John asked her to. "Slaves don't share the master's space," she had said, bowing. It made him sick. But now, she wasn't there. John stood up. The room was quiet, too quiet. He walked across the smooth floor and opened the round door. The hallway outside was dim, no guards, no sounds, just pale light and shadows. Where did she go? Then he heard something. A soft sound. A door creaking open down the hall. He followed carefully, barefoot, keeping to the shadows. The sound led him to a small service tunnel. Hidden. Cold. He peeked through a broken panel and froze. Leary was kneeling in a dark room handing small food packs to 3 little alien children. Their clothes were torn, their faces thin and hungry. One of them had burns on his arms. She smiled gently, breaking her own food into pieces and giving it away. John's heart tightened. This girl, given to him as a reward, was feeding orphans in secret. "Eat slowly," she whispered to the children. "And don't let anyone see you." "Will they hurt us again?" one of them asked. She paused, brushing his hair gently. "Not while I'm alive." John stepped back, shocked. This wasn't a weak slave. This was someone brave, someone kind. He waited until she finished and quietly followed her as she returned through the tunnel, unaware she had been seen. When she entered their shared chamber again, she didn't notice him behind her. "You're not who they say you are," John said, his voice low but steady. Leary jumped, startled. The robe in her arms dropped. "Master, I was just getting air," she stammered. "Don't lie to me," John said, stepping closer. "I saw what you did." She froze. Her lips tightened. She looked down, afraid. "I won't report you," he added. "I want to know, why do you help them?" Leary said nothing for a long time. Then slowly she walked to the bed and sat on the edge. Her shoulders shook slightly. "Because I used to be one of them," she said finally. "I was thrown away too, just like them." John sat beside her, quiet. "When I was small," she continued, "my parents disappeared during the Palace War. I was taken and sold. No one wanted a crying girl with scars, so I learned to smile, even when I was scared." She lifted her sleeve. Faint burn marks covered her arm, old, healed, but deep. "They punished me when I spoke too loudly, when I asked questions, when I helped others," she whispered. "But I didn't stop. Not then. Not now. John's chest burned. He had seen war, but he had never seen someone fight it so quietly. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. She looked up. Because humans are rare, and most don't care. He clenched his fists. I care, Leary. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Leary gave a sad smile. They call me a slave, she said, but I never let them own my heart. John stood, walking to the window. Outside, the stars glowed. The planet was beautiful, but dark, beneath the surface. They don't deserve you, he said. You're not a gift, you're a fighter. Then she asked something strange. Do you believe in soul bonds? John turned to her, surprised. What do you mean? She pointed to the glowing mark on his chest. It's not just a symbol. On Valeria, some bonds are deeper. When someone saves another's life at the moment of death, a thread is made. A tie that can't be broken. He touched the mark again, confused. Are you saying you were dying too? She nodded slowly. When I saw your broken body, I felt something call to me. I healed you. Not with tools, but with energy. My own life force. I thought I would die. But then, we both lived. John's breath caught in his throat. So they weren't just tied by law, but by something ancient, something real. He stepped forward and gently touched her hand. You don't belong to me, Leary, he said softly. But if that bond is real, then I'll protect it. I'll protect you. She looked up at him, eyes wide. For the first time, she didn't look afraid, but far away, deep in the palace walls, another set of eyes watched them through hidden sensors. A voice in the shadows whispered, He's getting too close. If he learns the truth, we may lose her forever. A warning in the dark. The Queen's eyes are watching. The morning air on Valeria felt heavier than before. Captain John Reyes sat by the window, watching the twin suns rise. His chest, still, carried the glowing mark, proof that the palace believed Leary was now his slave. But last night had changed everything. She wasn't a servant. She was a survivor, a protector, and somehow their lives had become linked. John looked at her now. Leary sat silently, braiding her long silver hair with calm hands, but he could feel it. Something was off. Her eyes didn't shine the same way they did the night before. Is something wrong? He asked. Leary hesitated. The walls listen, she whispered, barely moving her lips. There are watchers here always. Before John could ask more, a soft ping echoed from the wall. A glowing message floated into the air. The Queen requests your presence. Come alone. Leary froze. She stood quickly and bowed. You must go, she said. Don't make her wait. John narrowed his eyes. Will you be all right? She gave a practiced smile. I am always all right. He didn't believe her, but he left. The Queen's throne room was massive, made of crystal and bone. The floor hummed with energy. Tall alien guards stood on each side, heads bowed but weapons ready. And there she sat, the Queen of Valeria. She was beautiful and dangerous. Her skin shimmered like diamonds, her eyes cold and unreadable. She didn't smile when John entered. Captain Reyes, she said, her voice echoing through the hall. You have awakened strong, faster than expected. John bowed slightly. Thanks to Leary, the Queen raised an eyebrow. You've grown close to her? John nodded slowly. I respect her. The Queen's voice turned sharp. Do not make the mistake of confusing respect with affection. John frowned. What's that supposed to mean? The Queen stood now. Her presence filled the room. Leary is not what she seems, she said. She is sweet, yes, obedient, but dangerous. John stepped forward. She saved me. She helps your children. You call that danger? The Queen's eyes flashed. She carries an old curse, one that has cost lives. If she binds herself fully to you, the curse may pass. John clenched his fists. That's just a story, a superstition. The Queen's tone dropped to ice. You were given a reward, Captain. Nothing more. Use it. Enjoy it. But do not fall for it. A long silence filled the room. Then the Queen added something strange. Some flowers are beautiful, because they grow near poison. Before John could speak again, the guard stepped forward. The audience was over. That night, John returned to his room, and something was wrong. Leary wasn't there. Her robe lay folded neatly on the floor. The lights were dimmed. A strange cold wind crept through the walls. Then he saw it, scratched into the smooth wall with what looked like a claw. Do not love her. A chill crawled up his spine. Suddenly, a whisper came from behind him. You were warned. John spun around, but no one was there. Then a shadow darted across the ceiling. Something fast, something invisible. He grabbed a small blade from under his robe and crouched low. He didn't know this place, but he knew how to fight. A figure dropped from the ceiling, cloaked in black armor, eyes glowing red. The intruder lunged at him with a sharp needle, but John rolled aside and kicked him hard in the chest. The figure flew back, but before hitting the wall, it vanished into smoke. Gone. John gasped, sweat on his face. Not from fear, but from fury. He turned to the wall again. That message, that scratch. It wasn't random. Someone had come into this room, not to kill him, but to warn him, or scare him, and they didn't want him to care about Leary. Why? He rushed out of the room. His heart pounded as he searched the hallways, calling her name in whispers. Finally, near the edge of the lower gardens, he found her, sitting alone beneath a glowing tree. Her arms were folded tight, and her back was trembling. She was crying. When she heard his steps, she wiped her face quickly and looked up. You weren't supposed to see me like this, she said, forcing a smile. John knelt beside her. What happened? Who came into our room? She hesitated. You saw the message? He nodded. Leary's voice shook. There are those who fear the old stories. They think I bring death. That if someone falls in love with me, they'll lose everything. That's not true, John said. You're not cursed. You're kind, strong. She looked into his eyes, and for a moment he saw it. That same hope from before. Faint, but alive. Then why do people disappear after they care for me? She whispered. John reached for her hand. Because maybe they cared too late. I won't. But above them, high in the dark towers, a figure watched through crystal glass. The Queen stood silently, eyes burning with quiet rage. So, he chooses her, she said. Then let them both learn what love costs. Truth in chains. Her past is not what he expected. The next morning, the skies over Valeria were dark. Clouds twisted unnaturally. The twin suns were hidden. The air felt thick, like a storm was coming, but not the kind that brought rain. John Reyes stood near the balcony, watching the strange sky. He didn't sleep. How could he? Someone had entered their room, left a message, vanished like smoke. And the Queen herself had warned him, do not love her. But it was too late for that. Inside the chamber, Leary sat by the glowing wall, arms wrapped around her knees. She hadn't spoken much since last night. The fear in her eyes had returned, stronger this time. Deeper. John turned to her. I want to know the truth, he said quietly. Not the stories. Not the lies. Just you. Who are you? Really? Leary didn't look up. I told you, I was a servant, given to you as a reward. John stepped closer. No, that's what they want me to believe. But you don't act like a servant. You protect others. You speak their language like royalty. And last night, someone tried to silence you. That's not normal. That's fear. Silence. Then Leary stood slowly, walked to the far wall and touched a small glowing panel. A part of the wall slid open, a hidden drawer. She pulled out something wrapped in black silk, a small metal band, rusted and ancient, marked with the crest of the royal house. "This belonged to my mother," she said. "She wore it the day she was murdered." John's eyes narrowed. Leary looked up at him. "I wasn't born a slave. I was born a princess of Valeria." The room fell completely silent. John stared at her, stunned. "A princess?" She nodded. "My father was the younger brother of the queen, a kind man, a man who believed peace could come without fear." Her voice grew distant, like she was reliving it. "But when I was 7, he was poisoned, my mother was blamed and executed. I was taken in, not as family but as a problem, a shameful memory. They locked me away, changed my name, burned the records. I became a ghost." John felt his fists clench. "And the queen, she knew?" Leary nodded. "She was the one who gave the order to erase me, to clean the royal bloodline." She placed the old crest on the table and sat down again. "When I grew older, they gave me a choice: die in silence, or serve as a reward to someone far away." John stepped forward, angry now. "That's not a choice. That's slavery dressed as mercy." Leary smiled bitterly. "I accepted it because it meant leaving this cursed palace. I thought I would be forgotten. Finally. But then your pod fell from the sky." She looked up, eyes shining. "And I saw you, half dead but still fighting. You reminded me of my father. Brave, honest, human." John sat beside her, the weight of her story crushing his chest. "Why didn't you tell me all this before?" Leary took a shaky breath. "Because anyone who learns who I am dies." John blinked. "What?" 3 years ago, I told a guard who I was. He believed me, said he would take me to safety. That night they found his body in the gardens. Heart stopped, eyes burned. She looked at him now, truly scared. "Last night when I saw the scratch on the wall, I knew. They know I told you. Now they'll try to kill you too." John stood quickly. "Then we leave tonight. We escape." Leary shook her head. "I can't leave the planet. The seal they gave me, it's not just a slave mark, it's a tracker. If I cross the boundary of the capital sky zone, my heart will stop." John's breath caught. This wasn't just politics. This was cruelty, controlled, precise, and evil. He turned to her. "Then I'll find a way to remove the seal. I'll burn down this palace if I have to, but I'm not leaving without you." Leary's eyes softened. "Why are you doing this?" John leaned closer, his voice low but strong. "Because you saved me, not just my body, but something inside. And because no one else ever treated you like a person. But I do." Their hands touched, fingers locking gently. But far above, in the Queen's tower, alarms began to blink. A royal advisor entered her chamber, panic on his face. "Your Majesty, the human knows the girl's true bloodline." The Queen stood, slowly, her eyes burning with fury. "Then we strike first. The escape plan." A fight against an empire night fell on Valeria like a curtain of silence. But inside the palace, whispers moved like fire. Captain John Reyes didn't sleep. He stood at the window of the chamber he once thought was peaceful. Now he knew better. It was a cage with soft walls and deadly eyes. Behind him, Leary wrapped her arms around herself. Her silver hair hid her face, but her voice was steady. "I've drawn the map from memory. The tunnels under the palace. I used them as a child. They're old, but still there." She handed John a small piece of cloth inked with a winding path. The exit led far beyond the capital walls to the ruins of an old Valerian temple, long forgotten, untouched by the Queen's eyes. "If we make it there," Leary whispered, "I know someone who can remove the death seal from my neck." John stared at the map, his jaw tight. "Then we go tonight." Leary looked up. Her golden eyes shimmered, not with fear, but something deeper. "Once we leave, we can never return. Not even to save others. Are you sure?" John looked at her. "I've fought for planets, but I've never fought for someone like you. This time, I'm sure." They moved through the servant tunnels. Leary led the way, barefoot and silent. Her robe fluttered behind her like a ghost. John followed with a stolen blade tied to his back. Each step echoed softly through the stone walls. Shadows moved. Crystals glowed dimly. Then, Leary stopped. "Guard post ahead," she whispered. John peeked around the corner. 2 armored guards, tall and silent, stood in front of a locked gate. John looked at Leary. "We take them fast." "No noise," she nodded. John moved like a storm. One guard raised his weapon, but too late. John's blade cut it clean. The second reached for the alarm, but Leary was faster. She threw a handful of stardust from her pouch, blinding light flashed, and the guard dropped. They dragged the bodies into the shadows and pressed forward. The air got colder. The ground turned rough. Soon the tunnel opened into a wide cavern filled with ancient roots and glowing vines. "Almost there," Leary whispered. But then, a flash, and everything turned red. A glowing barrier shot up behind them. Doors slammed, shut. Walls shifted. "It's a trap," John hissed. From the shadows, voices echoed. Clapping, the queen stepped forward. No crown, no throne, just cold fury in her eyes. She wasn't alone. A squad of elite guards flanked her, armor black as, "Knight, you disappoint me, Captain Reyes," she said. "You could have had peace, comfort, a future." John stepped in front of Leary. "You lie. All you offer is control and fear." The queen smiled. "And yet, she never told you the full truth." Leary grabbed John's arm, shaking her head. "Don't listen to her." But the queen raised her hand, and suddenly Leary's mark glowed red hot. She screamed, falling to her knees. John caught her, eyes wide. "What are you doing to her?" The queen's voice was ice. "The bond seal is not just a tracker, it is obedience, pain, and now punishment." Leary trembled, clutching her chest. Her skin glowed with burning light. John turned to the queen, rage building inside him. "End it, or I will." The queen's guards moved forward. John pulled his blade. But something unexpected happened. Leary rose to her feet, eyes glowing brighter than ever. "No more," she whispered. Then she screamed, a long, sharp cry, and a wave of energy burst from her body. The guard staggered, lights exploded, the crystal walls cracked, the queen stared in shock. Impossible. The seal should have silenced her. John grabbed Leary's hand. "Now!" They ran through the broken gate, deeper into the ruins. Behind them, the queen shouted, "Bring them back, alive or dead." Outside, the storm finally broke. Winds howled. Lightning tore across the sky. John and Leary stumbled into the wilds, free for the first time, but hunted. They hid in the ruins of the temple, breathless. Leary leaned against a wall, her skin pale. "I broke the seal, but it hurt too much. I don't think I can do that again." John held her close. "Then we don't go back. We keep going. I'll protect you no matter what." Suddenly footsteps approached, slow, careful. From the shadows stepped an old alien, man with silver eyes and a walking stick carved with royal markings. He looked at Leary and bowed deeply. "Princess, we've been waiting for your return." John reached for his weapon. "Who are you?" The man smiled softly. "The one who can give her back what was stolen, her true power. She belonged to no one, but she chose him. A new beginning." The temple ruins were old, carved from stone and time. Wind howled through the cracks, and the ground shook gently beneath their feet. Captain John Reyes stood beside Leary, his arm wrapped around her to keep her steady. Her body was weak, but her eyes burned bright. No longer just a slave. No longer hidden. She was a princess of Valaria. The old alien man who greeted them stepped forward. His voice was calm, but his words were heavy. "We are the last of her fathers. Loyal circle. We protected the old blood in secret, waiting for the sign of her return." He looked at John. "And you, human, You're part of the prophecy." John raised an eyebrow. "Prophecy?" The man nodded. "A star-born warrior would fall from the sky and awaken the sleeping flame of Valeria. Only through him could the lost heir rise." John glanced at Leary. "You never told me you were part of a prophecy." She gave a faint smile. "I didn't believe it. Until you came." Then the wind changed. Far above the temple, the queen's ships arrived, dark, silent, like vultures circling over a wounded animal. The sky crackled with energy. The queen herself appeared, descending with a full squad of elite guards. Her robe shimmered like a storm cloud. Her eyes were full of rage. "This ends now," she shouted. "You cannot hide any more, Leary. You were never meant to rule." The old man stepped forward, lifting his staff. "She was meant to free us, and now she will." But the queen raised her hand, and the ground split open. Lightning tore across the sky, striking the temple. "Kill the human, bring me the girl, alive!" The guards charged. John stepped forward, blade in hand. "Get behind me," he yelled. But Leary didn't hide. She stepped forward too, barefoot, blood on her skin, hair flowing in the wind like silver fire. Her voice rose above the storm. "I am not a slave. I am not a reward. I am not your shame." The wind answered her. The ruins trembled. Suddenly the temple's center lit up, ancient symbols glowing beneath her feet. The prophecy wasn't just words. It was power. Leary began to float, eyes glowing, gold energy swirling around her. The queen screamed, "Stop her!" Guards rushed forward, but John met them with fury. He moved like a storm, cutting down soldier after soldier, protecting Leary with every breath. But one broke through, charging straight toward her with a plasma blade. John saw it, but he was too far. "Leary, watch out." Before the blade could touch her, a force erupted from her chest, a shield of pure energy. The attacker flew backward, unconscious. Leary lowered herself to the ground. Her voice was no longer just hers. It echoed, with thousands of voices from her past. "This ends today." She raised her hand. Lightning struck the queen's guards, sending them flying. The queen stepped forward alone, her face pale. "If you take the throne," she hissed, "the people will rise, and you will drown in their blood." Leary shook, her head. "No. They will rise, and I will rise with them." She closed her eyes, and the death seal on her neck glowed. Then it cracked and shattered into dust. John stepped beside her, bleeding but smiling. "I guess you broke it after all." Leary turned to him. "Not just the seal," she whispered. "I broke the chains in my heart too." Then she did something no queen had ever done. She bowed to him. "I choose you, not because of law, not because of fate, but because you saw me when no one else did." The sky cleared. The queen, defeated and silent, was taken by the people, no longer feared. Her time was over. Weeks later, Leary stood on the new palace steps, no longer a hidden ghost. She wore robes of gold and starlight. Her crown was simple, shaped like the old forests of Valeria. John stood beside her, not as a ruler, but as her equal. She gave him her hand. "They ask if I will choose a mate," she said quietly. "Someone worthy." John smiled. "Find anyone yet?" Leary leaned in. "Yes. A strange, stubborn human with broken armor, and the biggest heart I've ever known." And as the people of Valeria cheered for their true queen, Leary held his hand tightly. She had been born into chains, taught to kneel, trained to obey. But now she stood free, not because someone saved her, but because she chose to be saved.